Hello and welcome, this is WTii, and this is a guide on how to defeat Lord Victor Nefarius on Hearthstone in heroic mode at Blackwing Lair. So we're going to try our best to top deck for Wild Pyromancer and Equality. So we've got an Equality, that's really good. All we really need now is a Wild Pyromancer. You've got a few rounds before you really need him. 2 Equalities, that's great, just more board clear. Nefarius becomes very scary around round 3 and 4, where he starts to completely and utterly fill up the board because he has so many cards and 10 mana is what he starts off with. So you really want the Wild Pyromancer and you really want Equality. If you can get an early Zombie Chow, that doesn't hurt at all, but since we don't have that, we're just going to go with Silverhand Recruit and continue playing through. On the right hand side you can see all the list of the cards that I suggest that you take for this build. You go Paladin and you go for Zombie Chow, Equality, Wild Pyromancer. Basically all these cards are designed to sort of wipe the board and or clear sort of like any real threats by removing their health or, you know, their potential damage with out or peacekeepers or big game hunters, stuff like that, just to flat out remove cards. Quartermaster works very well if you can fill up with reinforced Silverhand recruits. Now at round 3 you're going to get a minion here from Ragnaros, and this is the only one. Past this point he won't give you any more, and as we can see we currently don't have any reason to play him right now because he's just going to get killed, to be quite frank with you. Now to reduce some of the damage I'm going to take, and since I don't have a Wild Pyromancer and he hasn't really filled up his board, I'm going to chuck out my Outer Peacekeeper and reduce the damage of this little fella here, and then continue on from this point and see if we can get to that point where we do actually get the Wild Pyromancer, because by round 4, 5, 6 you are definitely going to want Wild Pyromancer, otherwise you're going to be in a lot of trouble. I'm just telling you this for sure right now. As you can see, a lot of threatening cards are coming up. They've got some decent damage. Your face is going to start taking a pounding at this point, so if you can get Wild Pyromancer, which I just did, that's fantastic. So we're going to make the most out of this little fella. May as well do some damage to the face with the Timberwolf. And now we go on turn 4, round 4 rather, with the 4 mana gems we throw down the Wild Pyromancer, and then we cast Equality. This means that the Wild Pyromancer is going to cast and do 1 damage to all minions after Equality has been cast. This wipes the board completely, and now you can safely play your 0 mana card, Son of the Flame, or whatever it might be. Hopefully you don't get the spell card that does 8 damage to a random unit, because particularly you want a minion. You just want to fill up the board with minions yourself, clear Nefarius from his minions, and go from there. That's okay, that's alright, don't worry about it. It's just about using up his cards, trying to reduce all of the cards he's got, because he's got 10 mana, and this game becomes a lot easier, this fight, once you start to get close to 10 mana yourself. So as we can see, he's got nothing on the board right now. It's very unlikely that Mind Control Tech is going to be particularly useful at this point, but I do like the idea of Mind Control Tech just in case he does manage to get crazy and you don't get that Wild Pyromancer. You might be able to get lucky and pull off one of his strongest creeps, potentially. However, for now, we will settle with the Piloted Shredder, because even if he removes this card, it's got a Death Rattle, which means it's spawned a 2-cost minion. That could be very powerful or crap, but it's still something else that he's got to try and deal with. And he's going to use Equality first at it, which is pretty useless in this case, because that's not really a big threat for me. Not too worried about that. I think at this point he's really putting a lot into this Twilight Drake, but the Twilight Drake isn't that big a deal. Just is not a big deal at the moment right now. So we're going to go for Silverhand Recruit, and we're going to chuck down potentially Cult Master just to get some more cards, some more control later on here. Now we know that the Piloted Shredder is going to basically be kind of useless here if I do decide to chuck him that way. Worst case scenario, he brings down the Cult Master. I'm just going to go for the face in this case and see how he plays the game out of curiosity. It's alright, we've still got some good stuff coming up. We've got Lay on Hands to depend on. Kel'Thuzad is a card that you really want to hang on to for as long as possible. That's not a bad card to get out of the Piloted Shredder at all, but of course he's got so many ways to try and handle this. The unfortunate thing is that he has got Blessing of Wisdom on this Twilight Drake, which means he can keep pumping up there. But we can try to deal with this Twilight Drake eventually. This True Silver Champion should be quite nice for this case. So we're just going to bring this Twilight Drake down ever so slightly. see what he does now, but you could potentially get a strong card like Sludge Belcher or Emperor Pharisson very soon. That's going to help reduce the cost of any other cards that you might have. You might be stocking cards at this point. So I'm down to 9 health. It's looking somewhat threatening right now, but not so much at this point because I can decide to go for Equality right now and Consecration, and then that would give me a board clear there, and I'd still have my cards, and I could hold on to my weapon just in case I want to use it for future sort of wipes. So I think I might go for that. Might do the Equality, Consecration, and put another Silverhand Recruit. Let's see what his next move is. I aim to try and get Kel'Thuzad out as early as possible and try to hold on to him as long as possible. Flame Strike, that's an expensive way to get rid of 2 Silverhand Recruits, but so be it. Muster for Battle would be nice, but that's okay. So we don't really need to rush into Kel'Thuzad since he hasn't got any threatening stuff at the moment, so we can chuck down a Sludge Belcher at this point and another Silverhand Recruit. And then potentially Kel'Thuzad next turn. Because Kel'Thuzad becomes insanely good if you can get a bunch of Sludge Belchers. Because the idea is to just stop him from going for your face past this point. So we will play ourselves a nice little Kel'Thuzad. Chuck down a Zombie Chow just for the deeps. And Zombie Chow isn't going to heal him for ages because you've still got 38 armor to get through. So every time he keeps killing the Sludge Belcher... Oh, this is nasty. I hope he doesn't bring down my Kel'Thuzad. He wants to. He so wants to. Kel'Thuzad, hang in there, buddy. You can potentially use Lay on Hands, I think, for Kel'Thuzad. That's if he can survive a little bit longer. Seems unlikely at this point, but we'll try to keep him in there for as long as possible. Just keep filling up. You can really chuck in a Mind Control tech at this point, because to be quite frank with you, he's unlikely to play any more minions at this point, and you're just going to keep chucking your minions, suiciding them, so that you can basically keep respawning them with the Kel'Thuzad. So what will happen is you get this taunt, and then you get the Sludge Belcher. You want to try and play it though. If you do have 7 minions, you want to get rid of your crappiest one, and try to make it so that you can keep hold of your Sludge Belcher. Very fortunately there, he did not bring down Kel'Thuzad. Like we said, we want to hold on to Kel'Thuzad for as long as possible, because he just keeps bringing everything back and essentially keeps you in the game until Nefarius dies. So at this point, we just do some more sacrifice into the Sludge Belcher. Keep killing him off if you can, because what you're going to get, hopefully, is the slime. And that slime is a 1/2 taunt. Very, very handy indeed. So we'll see if we can get that instead. Worst case scenario is it spawns. This is where I wouldn't spawn a Reinforce or a Silverhand Recruit, because I want to make sure I get the Sludge Belcher back. Let's hope we do. Oh good, we do. So you get the Sludge Belcher back because he died first. I assume that's the way the priority works there. So try to kill off your Sludge Belcher first in that case, because you certainly don't want the Silverhand Recruit instead of the Sludge Belcher. So he's starting to try to fill up the board again now. Mind Control text looking rather tempting, but not too big a deal. We could go for another wipe if we had it. Consecration can do some sort of a good deal. Muster for Battle maybe later on if Kel'Thuzad does decide to die, which is kind of likely, to be quite frank with you. So his secret could quite potentially be the one that we want, like again, to get Sludge Belcher here killed off. So this guy's going to kill potentially the secret, which is the Defender. So we're going to see whether he... No, he doesn't. Ah. Comes back to life, huh? That's how that's going to be. So the problem here is if I did kill off the Sludge Belcher, I probably wouldn't get him back because I killed off the Zombie Chow first. So that's something to pay attention to here. So I'm actually going to hold on to him because he's the only one with the Death Rattle. And the same with the Piloted Shredder. You could potentially keep killing the Piloted Shredder off, but you've got to be careful. It's ideal really to try and permanently get rid of these slimes to some degree, depending on your situation, but it doesn't really matter that much. Kind of overthinking it a little bit. Just make sure that you bring this stuff down. The Piloted Shredder will come back. His little buddy won't though. We're gonna face that. At this point we should pretty much have this in the bag. Yes, we managed to get our piloted shredder back. That's what we're after. And we can sacrifice him again in a moment. Kel'Thuzad still going strong, thankfully. Wild Pyromancer, there's a board clear potentially with the Consecration. But not versus high health units like this, but one can hope, huh? Just keep clearing his board, because you're only going to get stronger and stronger. Let's see if I got screwed over by doing that. It becomes quite a calculatory game, this one. It looks like I did, so I sacrificed the Sludge Belcher. That is something that can happen, and I was mentioning it earlier. So that is at least proof that we know now. Didn't necessarily know exactly before, but definitely know now that you want to sort of sacrifice the unit that you want to guarantee come back first. However, this game is basically in the bag now. He still hasn't dealt with Kel'Thuzad. I've got 10 mana. I've got so many options potentially. So, depending on how Nefarius is likely to play, you might not want to keep spawning these slimes with your Sludge Belcher. The only reason why I really do it is because there's so many multiple taunts, and he's already used a lot of spell cards on me, so I don't think he's really going to be able to take down my face anytime soon. So we just keep going for the face and go from there. And that's pretty much it, to be quite frank with you. I could get Lay on Hands. That's a guaranteed way to keep my Paladin alive. More cards, more control. Another way to get round the Sludge Belcher issue, looking at this, Kel'Thuzad, you're still hanging in there just by a scrape, is to sacrifice, say for example, these little slimes, and then if you want a strong minion to stay in your force, chuck down the Guardian of Kings. He's going to stay there, and Kel'Thuzad will respawn those slimes, but only one of them now, because you can only have 7 minions at a time. And there we go. Or if I really didn't want another slime, I could chuck down this guy as well, but I don't mind having the slimes, like I say. They do the job. And that's pretty much it. This is how you defeat Nefarius. You just got to get past that initial round 3 to 5 stage where it's very hectic and you are quite likely to die very early on. Otherwise, later on, he doesn't seem to have many options, if any, to truly bring you down. Hang on to Kel'Thuzad as long as you can. That guy is awesome. Speaking of which, we're going to finish him off with Kel'Thuzad just to rub it in. And that's how you defeat Lord Victor Nefarius. So I hope you enjoyed this little guide. Try to use this build. It really worked wonders for me because I couldn't beat him on the night that I initially started. I did a whole playthrough, 4.5 hours of going through it, getting through each of the bosses, and then I got stuck on Nefarius, and I just ended up going to bed. Attacked it the next day and came across this build, and it's done wonders for me, so hopefully it'll do the same for you. And if it does, then please throw down a like, always helps out, and throw down a comment and let me know how you got on. Alright then, thanks guys for watching, take care, I'll see you later.